everybody, and welcome back to Apple Cottage. This is Sandy and I am Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming. Well, today we are having fun. We are making concrete rhubarb leaves. Now, let me tell you a few tricks before we start. One, I don't use concrete. I use mortar mix. Now, mortar mix is what you would use if you were doing a brick wall and it would go in between the bricks. If you were hooking cinder blocks together. And the reason why I like it is because it doesn't have any rocks, any pebbles in it. And so that I like better. Not that you couldn't use concrete. If that's what you have in your garage, use it. And you just mix it with water just like you do any kind of concrete mix. I like to add my water slowly. And when you first dump that bag into your container, whatever you're going to mix it in, a wheelbarrow, a tub, a bucket, there's a lot of dust. So I would suggest you wear a mask just during that part. And what I want it to form is kind of a ball that I can toss back and forth. Now I don't want it hard or crumbly like, like if you didn't add enough water. I want to be able to just toss that. And so that is a good consistency for me. Now, if you had too much water in it, you can simply just let it sit for a while and the water will start to evaporate out. If you don't have enough, you just are going to add a little bit of water at a time. Another thing, you want to wear gloves. The reason is that it can be a little harsh on your hands. It can make it so that they dry out a lot and you have to use lotion for several days. Now, I like to make concrete rhubarb leaves with a lot of different things. Not always rhubarb leaves. Now, the idea is you want to use a leaf that has a lot of good veins. And so that's why a lot of people use rhubarb leaves. They can be big, they can be small, but the veins are the key in there. But there are a lot of things that have good veins. Grape leaves have good veins. Horseradish leaves have a really good, strong vein right there. This is actually a sunflower leaf. And look at those beautiful veins back there. Other things I've used, Swiss chard, and of course cabbage. Great leaves. Now, I taught a class yesterday at the library and we made concrete rhubarb leaves. And so I went over and picked mine up this morning. And of course it looks like this when you pick it up, and then you're going to turn it over. And if you do peel the leaf off at about 12 hours to 24 hours, it will just peel right off. And look at these beautiful veins that it has in there. And this is still very wet. And so I can carve, or I can do a lot of different things to it right now if I wanted to. Now, see there's a little bit of leaf stuck different places. If you can't get it with your finger, use like a screwdriver, a toothpick, a dental pick to just get any of that, the rest of that leaf out of there. Now, it only has been drying only really for about 15 hours at this point. And it needs to dry at least 7 days before I can paint it. Now, you don't have to paint your rhubarb. You can just have the leaf dry. And in fact, I'll show you what color it'll look like. It'll look like this. See how light colored it is? And it's much lighter than when it was wet. And so we are going to make some leaves today. Now, if you paint your leaf, there are some tricks. Now, this actually I did not make. The initials on there, LA. Now, this one, somebody started to paint it, but see how it wasn't sealed? My process is I always want to seal it with a concrete sealer. I let that dry. Then I paint it with any kind of acrylic paint. Then I seal it again. If you're going to have them outside every couple of years, you want to seal it again. Now, there are tints that can be added to concrete or mortar mixes, and so this one has a tint in it. It hasn't been sealed yet, but it does have a little wire hook on the back, so I can hang this one when I get it done. Now, yesterday, I painted one. Now, it's only been drying less than 24 hours, so I haven't sealed it yet. But this is a hollyhock leaf, and it also has a wire on the back. And this was painted by a process that's called acrylic flow. It's acrylic and you add stuff to it and then you just pour all the colors at one time onto it and it does whatever you want. It's spectacular. But the nice thing about when you put the concrete sealer on is you can get a matte or a gloss, and I always use the gloss because I want it to make all those paint colors shiny again. And then I'm going to hang it in my garden. So I'm going to move the camera. We're going to do some leaves, and I'm just going to show you the process. Now, if you make a big leaf, you have to put some structure in there, some wire in there, chicken wire or welded wire, something to help it with strength. But ones like this, they're small. You don't have to have any wires in there. And what the process I do is I lay the leaf down, I put some of the mortar mix, I'll put the wire, I'll put more mortar mix, and then I'm just going to let it dry. It's very easy, very simple, and so fun to do. So let's get started. First, we're laying out all the leaves onto the table so that we can just go from one leaf to another. And we're going to try all those different leaves that we talked about. The next step that I do is to put wire. I want to make sure that it's going to fit in the leaf. I don't want it extending anywhere past the leaf that it might be pokey. And then I try to flatten that wire as much as possible. So I'm going to get my gloves on and we are going to make our leaves. So we're going to start with this leaf. And this is actually the leaf I used yesterday. When I peeled it off, it was such a good piece, I thought I could use that again. So I'm just going to grab some of our mix. See how we can toss that? And I'm just going to plop it down and press. I'm going to grab some more, press. Now the idea is I would like each layer on a leaf that's any amount of size to be, the first layer to be about a ½ inch thick, then the wire, then another ½ inch. The larger the leaf gets, the thicker I want that. And a trick is don't let your sides get thin and have just your center the 1/2 inch or the 3/4 inch. Okay, then I'm going to grab my wire. I'm going to try to make it so that it's as flat as possible, though the weight of the concrete can push it down too. And I'm going to lightly press it in there. And I'm going to grab some more concrete, mortar mix. And I'm going to press it again. I want it to end up being about 1 inch thick. If it was a larger leaf, I would want that 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. Now when you get it to this point where you've covered it, you can make as much indentations on the leaf as you want. Even if your leaf doesn't have those indentations, feel free to be artistic. Change the shape of the leaf a little bit. When I'm doing a class, I always have everybody put their initials so that people can tell whose is who. Now I'm going to let that sit for a little bit while I go to the next one. And then I can come back, and if I need to reshape it a little bit, I can. We have all of the leaves done so they can dry. This is the horseradish. This is the one I used from yesterday, which actually was a Swiss chard. I did say it was rhubarb, but it was a Swiss chard. And This one is the cabbage. Turns out very large, doesn't it, when it's all flattened out. Sunflower. Rhubarb. This one is also a Swiss chard. And then the grape. And these will dry for at least 12 hours before I flip them over. And then if they don't seem dry at 12 hours before I go to bed, I will let them sit till the morning. And then I'll peel them off and let them sit for 7 days. I had some extra, so I just put it in a bucket. And as it dries, it will shrink some and I'll be able to pop it out of the bucket and I can use it for a stepping stone. When I take this one out, actually, I'm going to take it out a little bit early and I'm going to carve, I don't know, butterfly or dragonfly or something in the stepping stone before it's all the way hardened. So I hope you liked doing those stepping stones. This is Sandy. I am Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming. Always like, subscribe, share with the world, and do some fun stuff this weekend. Summer is short, and enjoy it. See you next time.